Okay, this is Mr. Peterson, and we're finishing up the 2.1 notes for Algebra 2, all about vertex form. And we were answering a question on the previous page, which was, what's the function of the value of a? Here, the a value would be 2. What does it do? And we learned on the previous page that when a is positive, the graph opens upwards, and negative makes it open downwards. If the absolute value of a is between 0 and 1, you have a vertical compression. But if the absolute value of a is bigger than 1, it's a vertical stretch. So here's the third answer to that question. What does a do? The point on the graph that is 1 to the right of the vertex and on the graph will always be a units above or below that vertex. So depending on whether you got a positive or negative one. So let me explain here. On this first example, we have a vertex of 5. You can see I changed that sign. 4. So I find 5, 4 on my graph, like that. And if I move, this is how this works here. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see better. If I move 1 unit to the right and a units up or down, in this case it's up because a is positive 2. So 1 to the right and a units up, so 2 up, and then mirror that on the other side, 1 to the left and 2 up. Those points are also on the parabola, so you already have an idea of where this thing is headed. It's going up like through there, okay? Now you really can't just graph that much, and you would graph a lot more, but at least it gives you a little bit of an idea of where this thing would start and kind of the steepness of it. It gives you a little bit of a picture of that area near the vertex. Okay, so let's do it again with this one. H is going to be negative 7. K is going to be negative 2.5. So we're going to find negative 7, negative 2.5, and it's right there. And then we have an A value of negative 1.5. That's what negative 3/2 is, which means if I go 1 to the right, I have to go 1.5 down, and there's my next point. And then I do the same in the other direction, 1 to the left. It's always 1 to the left and 1 to the right. And then a units down in this case because we have a negative value of a. And there's my second point. So I have a little bit of an idea of where this is headed. It's going to look like that. So you can kind of turn this concept around and examine that first step. So for instance, this one goes 1 to the right and 2 down. So a will be negative 2. 1 to the right and 2 down. And since it's 2 down, on that first step, remember it's always 1 to the right and 1 to the left, we've got an a value of negative 2 there. Now you have to be a little cautious here. If you've got a fractional value, like it looks like it goes down 3/4 or 1.5, it's really hard to tell those values. So try not to do this, examining the graph like this if you don't have points that land right on the grid, okay? Now, if you have the actual values, we've got these points here, and you'll notice that it's got an 8 for the h value, so 7 and 9 are the ones that are 1 to the right and 1 to the left, and I'm going to ignore that one up there. And it looks like if you compare these, it goes up 2.5, so a is going to be 2.5. Does it do the same thing over here, 1 to the left and 2.5 up? It sure does. From 6, the height of 6, to the height of 8.5. Let me just subtract here. That's your a value. Okay, so let's kind of try a few of them here. Write the vertex form of this guy here. Okay, let's see what we got here. Well, my vertex is there, so this is H and K. And all I have to do is find A. And it's convenient here. You'll notice that this -4, when I go one to the right, I get to -3. So if I could just figure out how far down I'm going, I'll be good. Well, if you're at a height of 3 and you go down to a height of 2.5, you've gone down 1/2. So that means A is equal to -1/2. And I'm ready to write this out. I'm going to write down the formula first. You need to memorize this formula. It's called vertex form. The squared is what people tend to forget. This little part here that you tend to forget, but if you leave it off, it's not a parabola anymore. Okay, so now I'm going to put the template, and this also should probably be memorized. And we're just going to plug numbers into this template here. The A is -0.5. Since the H is -4, I'm going to take its opposite. And the K is 3. You don't change that one. And this is the formula for that parabola. And you could check this by going to the y equals key on your calculator, typing that equation, and hitting zoom 6 would probably do it for you. And you would touch the trace key and then start typing -5 to see if you get that answer, -4 to see if you get the right vertex at -4, 3, and -3 after you hit trace and see if you get the 2.5 that goes with it. And that's how you could check this. Okay, so I hope this helps you and you understood how to do this. So your homework's very similar to this, so you should be able to do it having seen these videos. Have a sweet evening or a sweet day, whatever time it is you're seeing this video.